Hi everyone, this is Darren with SimNation. Just doing a playoff unveil video for WWPF. This will be the 59th iteration of the playoffs here. WWPF is one of our two draft day sports pro football leagues here at SimNation. This one is on 2026. It is a featured league with Whirlwind Studios. If you're interested, we'd love to have you. There's a lot of great coaches in this league, and I'll kind of talk about that in a second. But without further ado, I'm just going to go straight into it. The first bit, I'm going to talk a little bit just because I ran the sim before I was able to do like the preview. So I know what the results are already, but want to talk a bit about Week 17. Coming into Week 17 in the NFC, the number 1 and number 2 ranked slots were already taken. Invisible Witness, who's chasing his three-peat with his Carolina Panthers, is the 1 seed. DWK, who's completely turned around the New York Giants, is already locked in at number 2. We knew that the 5th seed was going to be the Atlanta Falcons. There's no way that they couldn't because they're one of the few teams in the NFC with more than 10 wins. So they were automatically going to be the 5th seed. Essentially, the way it would work is if Green Bay won in Week 17, they would win the NFC North. If Detroit won, they would take the 6th and final playoff spot. If Detroit lost and Green Bay lost, then Green Bay would still take the division, and of course Dallas then would sneak into the playoffs. Of course, if Detroit wins and Green Bay loses, Detroit wins the division, and then, of course, Dallas still sneaks into the playoffs. So the only way for Dallas to get into the playoffs is they need for essentially Green Bay to lose and Detroit to win. Down in the West, it's Arizona versus San Francisco. Arizona, of course, is Simon. San Francisco is, of course, Stuart. Probably one of the hottest teams right now is San Francisco. Stuart's done a really good job of turning them around after a really dismal start. And he's in pole position. So all he has to do is win or hope Simon loses, and then he's in. And, of course, at that point, you would have the playoffs essentially be Carolina at 1, New York Giants at number 2, Green Bay or Detroit at number 3. At number 4 would be San Francisco or Arizona. Number 5, of course, is Atlanta. And then there's the combination that can happen at number 6, where it's going to be either Green Bay / Detroit or Dallas. On the AFC, it's a little bit cleaner in some regards. Pittsburgh, regardless of result, will be the 1 seed. So even if they lose to Tennessee, they will grab that 1 seed. Prince in his Denver Broncos will come in at number 2. Great job, Prince, by the way. And at number 3, the Jets and the Dolphins, so the Jets are Kev, the Dolphins are Soa, are fighting it out for that 3 seed. Both teams will make the playoffs regardless of the result. But if Kev wins, he wins the division only if the Dolphins lose. If the Dolphins win, then Soa will capture the division with his Dolphins, and then Kev will become the 5 seed. The 4th seed is still up in the air between Jacksonville and Tennessee. Tennessee needs to beat Pittsburgh this week. That's Bama, of course. And then he's got to hope that Jacksonville loses. If Jacksonville loses and he wins, he gets the division, which is about the only way he's making the playoffs. If Jacksonville wins, Jacksonville is in the playoffs. And then the 5th seed, like I mentioned, will be either Miami or New York Jets, whoever doesn't win the division. And the 6th seed is really going to be Kansas City unless something really weird happens and they lose. And if they lose, then it's likely going to be San Diego. So with all that said, it should be interesting to see how this plays out. I'm going to go ahead and unveil the playoff standings so everyone can see it, and we'll go from there. So for the NFC, again, like I said before, the top 2 seeds were known. Carolina and New York. Congratulations, Invisible Witness and DWK on grabbing the top 2 seeds. Detroit, who's a CPU team, comes in at number 3. Stuart comes in at number 4. with his San Francisco 49ers. They definitely have been hot here recently, so good job, Stuart, in turning your season around. Atlanta, like I said before, was going to make it regardless. They come in at number 5. And as you can see, Green Bay lost, so Dallas is in at number 6. So good job, Templar. You're in the playoffs. And, of course, Templar will take on Detroit, and San Francisco and Atlanta will play each other. On the AFC side, you see Pittsburgh at the 1 seed, Denver, who's Prince, at the 2 seed. Unfortunately, Miami did lose, and New York Jets did win. So Kev takes the 3 seed. Tennessee, who beat Pittsburgh, takes the 4 seed. And then you have essentially SOA at number 5 and Kansas City at number 6. So just missing the playoffs, of course, with San Diego and Houston. New England finishes the year 8-8. But we'll take a quick look at the playoffs. And what you see is Dallas versus Detroit and Atlanta versus San Francisco. So that should make for a really, really interesting first round. Dallas with Templar, I like Dallas over Detroit. I think San Francisco, Atlanta, I don't think it's even. I think Stuart has a hot hand right now, and I think that he will definitely pull this one out. Kansas City versus New York, I like Kev in this one. I think Kev has a decent defense, and of course they have Marvin Herman and those wide receivers at New York who are just a lights-out offense. So I think that they beat Pharaoh Compton. This will be a battle of quarterbacks between Compton and Marvin Herman. I think Herman and the Jets win this one. And then you have Miami versus Tennessee. I have said before that if Tennessee makes it in the playoffs, expect some chaos out of Tennessee. Bama is a good coach. He's definitely capable of pulling upsets, and he's done it before. Myself, I've been on the receiving end of that at Pittsburgh. So I do like Tennessee in this, but don't count SOA out. Miami's had a really great season. And if we go back and look at the previous week, what we'll see really quick is MBB Mets edged out New Orleans Saints to end the season with 9-7, just missing the playoffs. Dallas, of course, beat Washington. So this was Templar versus Udo at Washington, and he needed to win it, and they had a big fourth quarter, which helped get past the Washington Commanders. Prince needed to really try to beat Kansas City to even have a shot at trying to overtake Pittsburgh, and of course, Kansas City has been one of the hot teams this season, and they took the game away from Prince. Cotton and Chicago take on Philadelphia. It's not a really meaningful game, but anytime you end the season with a win, it's always a good thing. And then you see here New York versus Minnesota. This will be DWK versus Starfinder. I think Starfinder's stepping down after this game and moving on. So Minnesota does end his career with a win, 38-20. Over DWK. Perryman has been a big reason why the Giants have done good, but he kind of struggled in this one. Carolina versus San Francisco. There wasn't really a word where Stuart was going to win this game. Sorry, Stuart. Because Carolina is just that good right now. So Carolina having a really big game out of Campbell. Colwell, you see, also had a pretty good game. They win at 41-24. Miami versus Baltimore. Soa needed to win this one. Baltimore, for a CPU team, is a very good team. McCracken is a good quarterback. And you see here that they edged them by 3 in a very high-scoring game. Cleveland versus New York. Kev needed to win this one. And, of course, Cleveland is Bio Eagle. Bio would have liked to ended the season 8-8. But as you can see, all season long, Herman has just been dynamite, along with Torres and that whole receiving core. And they managed to win this game. New England versus Arizona. We were joking a little bit that Stuart was probably pulling for Shark. And, of course, Shark put up 62 points and won this game 62-38 over Simon. And as a result, Shark gets to 8-8, but Simon just misses out on the playoffs. And then you see Tennessee beats Pittsburgh 24-9. Good job, Bama. Definitely needed the win, and they pull off the upset of Pittsburgh, and that will help them in going into the playoffs. May create some concerns with Pittsburgh that they're entering the playoffs having lost 2 games in a row. Buffalo versus Indianapolis. I think this is Curtis, if I remember correctly. Buffalo has had a really up and down season. They ended on an up and down season. They may have actually lucked themselves into a first round draft pick with this loss, which is a good thing. Otherwise, Indianapolis for like the 20th season in a row will have the first round pick. So that's kind of where we're at. Hopefully you like this video. If you want to join the league, I have seen some comments about the offensive nature of the league. We are fixing it. So the goal is over the next 2 drafts is to prioritize defensive players so we can create some equilibrium and kind of get the offensive numbers back down and allow defense to kind of function the way it is. There are some teams in the league that are capable of playing defense. You have Pittsburgh, you have Carolina, New York, when they feel like it, can definitely do it as well. But it is something I'm addressing actively. So if you do want to join the league and you're a little bit worried about the offensive nature of the league, it is going to get better over the next 2 seasons. Mostly because some of the really high-end offensive players are going to begin to drop off. And as that happens, in us prioritizing the defense, it should create a balance. So hope you enjoyed the video. Went a little bit longer than I wanted it to, but that's it for now. Have a great night.